All right. And today we have Picklebilly Presents. We have Steve Wong, and you are joining us. Yeah. Are you in Arizona right now?
I am. I'm in Surprise, Arizona. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Yeah. My pleasure. And pickleball has grown so much, and there's so many people who are brand new to the game, and there are so many things that people in the past have done, which have set it up for us to be enjoying so many things. And so I think it's really important. You're a great part of that, in the early days.
Right. Thank you. Did you just
Yeah.
call me old? No, I'm just kidding. I have been in the sport for a long time.
Experienced.
Yeah, that's the term, experienced.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, okay. So before I ask you about the USAPA, I wanted to ask you, well, first of all, what is your sports background? So, yeah.
I played all sorts of sports. Growing up, I actually loved basketball the most, but then my
Mhm.
brothers and I would play tennis a lot. And then I played badminton. I played pretty much all sorts of racket sports. So table tennis, all of that. But I took a liking to pickleball in the 8th grade. So that's why I'm here today. It just was a lifelong passion of mine.
So how did you get lucky enough to have a school that had pickleball in the 8th grade? Because like I didn't have it growing up, and a lot of, how were you in that unique situation where you had pickleball offered at your school?
Well, I went to school at Odell Middle School, and it was in Bellevue, Washington. So the sport was created in Bainbridge, right across the water. So that's
Yeah.
why I was fortunate enough to have this in my school in the Seattle area. So a lot of people they say, okay, well, I played it for a week in middle school or high school. It's a fun sport, but not until recently it's really taken off like leaps and bounds. So now, I mean, we have the pro circuit and the PPA and APP, and it's really gotten out there more mainstream. And I still feel like there's a ways to go, but luckily I learned it in school, and my dream was really always to see it like flourish in the schools where there's courts in every single middle school and high school, and people would compete, so
Yeah.
that there's more money in the sport, there's scholarships, and people would actually strive to get a scholarship in pickleball long term. So
Yeah. I know, because I am a former teacher, and I worked to get pickleball into our schools, and they would do it maybe as a 2-week add-on.
right.
And but that was it. But it sounds like in your school it was more of a full-fledged program with a lot of
No,
opportunity to play. No.
no, actually, I mean, so I'm dating myself, but this is like 1991. So we
Mm.
only had a week-long program, and then I had this little after-school tournament with some of my teachers and stuff. So really, there was no exposure to it, and that's what I'm saying. If we have like 4 million players worldwide now, imagine if we get it to every single middle school and high school and elementary school and college. Like the sport would go from 4 million to like 20 million instantly, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need those courts to become available first. But yeah, it was only a week-long program for me as well.
Yeah. Well, I just know that because I've taught summer camps for kids for pickleball, and they
Mhm.
just learn it so quickly and they love it. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's a natural.
yeah,
Well,
true.
so what motivated you to you joined Yoda,
Hmm.
and he was part of your group to
Yeah.
begin the USAPA. And so what year was that? And what was the motivation? What led you to say we need to start this organization?
So a lot of it is in thanks to Yoda. So Mark Friedenberg is the man, the myth, the legend, and I've been fortunate enough to know him for, I don't know, 25 years or plus or something like that. So we've known each other for a long time. So he's such a cool dude. It's kind of a long sorted story, but he came across the USAPA.org domain. And when I was starting my company, it was called S-Type Sports at the time, and it later became Onyx. When
Yeah.
I was starting my company in 2005, he purchased ProLight Sports, and then he had the rights to the USAPA.org. And besides business, we had a pact. We said, we'll grow the sport, and business is on the side, and it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the sport's going to grow with our leadership. So we talked about it for like weeks and weeks. And there were some people that were kind of against us reviving the USAPA.org. And so we revived the USAPA.org, and it became a conversation that we've had for a while. And then one night we had some skeptics, and then he just called me up at literally 10:30 at night. He's like, Steve, we just got to do this. And I'm a go-getter as well. And I said, yeah, let's do this. There's no point in waiting around. Pickleball is not going to grow without us. So let's just go ahead and start it up. So then I started building the website. It took me about 2 months or so. Mm-hmm. And then we have some truly amazing people that started this nonprofit. You know, there's Mark and Lela at the time, and then Fran and Barney Myer and the Deweys and Erne Perry was part of it, and probably other people that I'm forgetting. Phil Mortenson was our legal counsel. Mm-hmm. All of these people came together just to create this nonprofit. So if it wasn't for all of these people, we wouldn't be here talking today.
Okay, but it was a nonprofit. But what was the purpose? Like, what was the goal of USAPA?
The goal was exactly what we see today. Is we wanted to create a foundation for the sport, and we wanted to adhere to like the traditions of the sport and make sure that the rules were adhered by. Really carrying out the legacy of the sport, so that we're not changing the sport left and right, and just making it fun for everybody so that we would keep on growing the sport. So like I said, Earl Hill was one of the first guys that created the ambassador program, and his mission was to create these ambassadors all around the country. So right away we had all these people like yourself and myself that just donated time to pickleball for growing the sport for the love of the game. Yeah. So now there's thousands of people as ambassadors worldwide, and if we didn't have that program, we wouldn't be where we are today. So the common goal was just to grow the sport. Yeah. And so I just need to understand for myself, and maybe for other people as well, because I'm newer, but I've been involved for 5 years. So the USAPA has a regulatory arm, and so establishing the rules, establishing the types of paddles, et cetera. And then are they involved in determining things about the nationals, about the hierarchy of the tournaments and getting in? Is that their job as well? So remember, things have changed quite a bit since 2005, right? So as the sport has matured, things have happened since then. But really, their job is to maintain the rules and keep it consistent. You know, from the USAPA, the IFP branch, so it's like an international federation of pickleball that grew from that. So there's so many things that morphed. You know, nowadays we have the PPA and the pro leagues and stuff like that. Yeah. So just remember, back in 2005, we were just starting out. So it was a catalyst to grow the sport, and that's why we say it's America's fastest growing sport. So it encompassed all of those things, but like I said, it's morphed quite a bit since then. And somebody else can speak better to that now. Gotcha. Okay. Like Justin Maloof is one of the executive directors, and I think there's even a new CEO. But anyways, it's always been a nonprofit, 501c3. So it's always had pure intentions. I've supported it. I do clinics worldwide right now, and every single time I do a clinic, I preach about, you know, the great thing that the USA Pickleball Group has done. So I encourage people to join and become ambassadors. Yeah. Well, okay, so I wanted to talk to you about your company, Onyx, and a groundbreaking company in how you were able to be there to take care of the growing interest in buying paddles, and phenomenal job. What I want to ask you about is, so usually when you see people, you know, in their 20s or 30s or 40s, the person who they become, you could see seeds of that, right, when they were in their adolescence, when they were in. So what would we have seen with you in those younger years that give us an indication that there would be this innovative entrepreneurial person who's going to develop this company? Like, what were the signs of it there? So, I mean, I just want to clarify, like, my current company is called Armour Pickleball. So this is a paddle that we currently make. I want to talk about that too. Yes. We are Armour Pickleball, and you're right. My past company was called Onyx. It started as S-Type Sports. So there's a big tradition with that. but just wanted to be clear, like right now it's Armour Pickleball, and I've been a manufacturer in this game since 2005. So there's a long history, like you mentioned.
Yes.
But I was always, in 2005, I was always trying to be the entrepreneur that thought that I could create something, either a better service or a better product than the next person. So the story goes, I was in my car with my family. My brother, his name is Tommy Wong, and we'll kind of get to him later on. But he was my biggest supporter. And me and him and our spouses were in the car driving, and I was really getting addicted to pickleball. I would play at the Bellevue 24-Hour Fitness with Mark Friedenberg, Chris Miller, all of these people, Levon Major. So we had a really good group of people. And then one day I was driving with my brother and stuff, and I'm like, guess what? I'm going to create a paddle. And he's like, you have got to be kidding me. And he laughed at me. He mocked me. And yes, he is my biggest supporter, but he was wondering why I would create a paddle. And I just said, there's a need. The sport has lots of room to grow. This is from the ground up. So if you see where we are now with 4 million people, just think back then, internet wasn't as big as it was. So I was in IT. My day job was in technology. So I created a website, I was researching products, and then me and my ex-wife Heidi just decided to go gung-ho with it. And then we just took off. I was the first company to really hit up the Sports Authority, Dick's Sporting Goods. I was the first paddle company in there with, the Onyx brand. And then fortunately enough, in 2015, Escalade Sports decided to make me an offer, and it was a good offer. And I'm really glad to see the sport is flourishing, and so is the Onyx brand. It's part of my legacy as well. I'm really happy for them, and they're doing really well as well.
Okay, so right now, though, you have Armour Pickleball, and I must tell you, Steve, that I am in the market for a paddle.
Okay.
So tell me, what are the advantages of having an Armour paddle?
So the cool thing about the Armour paddles is the person that is developing them is the guy that you're talking to now, right? So I'm the guy that plays a lot of tournaments. I've been playing tournaments for so long. I mean, I've been a Hall of Fame nominee. I've been a national champion. I've ran national tournaments. So I've done quite a bit in this sport. And my circle of friends are a lot of pickleball players. So when I developed this paddle, like this is a paddle that's coming out this month, and it's called the Helix paddle. And I feel like it's going to be just all over the courts. So when I develop it, it's for my own benefit at first, because I know what feels good to me. So like this paddle has a lot of pop. It's, made very solid. It's made here in the USA. There's great construction, great feel to it, a great shape to it. So I feel like the price point on this paddle is going to be under $100. And these days paddles are, up to 200 or more. So we have another line called the Helio line that sells for like 150 and 170. So this will be a better price point. But as far as playability, like these are going to be lights out. Like they're going to be awesome. So
maybe I should get one. I should get one, and I could take pictures of it like on the medal stand when I'm at nationals.
For sure. Yes, sounds good. So we will coordinate that. So this is coming out later this month. So we're doing a lot of stuff. So when I say that I develop it, I'm literally like coming up with the products, the design, like this graphics and stuff.
That's beautiful. I love that.
So it's kind of fun, and that's the passion that I have for the sport. And not only that, my circle of my teammates on my company side, there's a lot of great individuals that are really passionate about the sport. And our goal is to enrich lives through the sport of pickleball. So we all share the same philosophy, and that's why we're creating these products.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really pretty. I love it. And what is the composition of it? Is it
it's polypropylene, so it's very popular and very similar to a lot of paddles these days. So polypropylene, this is a fiberglass composite surface. This one's a 13 millimeter thick paddle. We also have the Helios that are 16 millimeter thick paddles. Our Helios are it's been our Cadillac for paddles, and they've sold off the shelf, but we should get a really big supply in September. But yeah, everything is going great. And not only that, is people could kind of see the passion that I have for the sport, and I teach it all the time. Like I have clinics coming up in Show Low, Arizona to Orlando, Florida, and Tampa, Florida. And then I'm going back to Alaska in October. So everybody kind of just shares the love of pickleball. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, did you just love Alaska?
Yeah. Did you see some of my posts on Facebook?
I did. You're fishing and yeah.
But that's the cool thing about pickleball is like you'll meet people that you've never met before even, and they're the nicest folks. We share the court together. I get to teach them some of the things that I've learned. My clinics are just really fun. Like everybody just loves it by the end of it. In fact, they loved it so much that they invited me back to go back there for a couple more clinics in October. So I'm going from summertime to winter time or fall winter. So it's just a great experience because they're so hospitable and they love the game.
Yeah. Had they had the opportunity to have pros teach them? I just wonder, Alaska's maybe a bit off the beaten path as far as where big tournaments are and things. And or was it more of a new experience for a lot of people up there, or?
It was a new experience, and I really thank Mark Daly. So he's my ambassador out there. So as far as Armour is concerned, we have these people that, either see me on Facebook or they know of me and they reach out to me. And I encourage other people to just let me know if they want to be an ambassador. And really they sell our products, so they make some money as well. And then they also are associated with our brand, and our brand is really growing. I really hope to be one of the top brands in the next few years. And with my track record, I hope I can make that happen. But these people are the facilitating, creating the clinics and, creating the hype and stuff. And Mark was not only that, but him and Diane just showed us a good time. Obviously, we really worked hard for the first, 4 days, but then we also took a road trip to Homer, Alaska, and we, rode a seaplane. We went fishing. But it's people like that make, it more enjoyable. But there wasn't any exposure to other pros and stuff until that happened. So this is, what I do, right? So I'm going to Orlando, Florida, and I'm having a couple other ambassadors promote some of our clinics. And we keep them really affordable. They're like $95 each for like 3 or 4 hours. And people just are raving about it. And so like I said, I'm going to Orlando in September and back to Alaska in October.
Okay, so if other ambassadors would like to reach out to you and schedule potential clinics, how do they get a hold of you?
It's really easy. So people could write to me at steve@armourpickleball.com or on my website, armourpickleball.com. At the bottom, it says become an ambassador or dealer ambassador. So you fill out that questionnaire, and then we have little videos and stuff about, what it takes to be an ambassador. And as long as you love the sport, you want to promote the sport, you want to sell product and represent a growing brand, then, feel free to talk to me.
Yeah. And they could potentially ask you to come and do a clinic.
Yeah. It's
people could try to arrange that.
People are just amazed because, to get, a well-known person in the sport is sometimes tough to do. And I think there's a lot of credit that goes to a lot of people that are teaching, Tyson McGuffin, Ben Johns, Simone, all these people are wonderful people. For me, I have a lot of time because this is my full-time job right now, right? So people can just reach out to me, and it's my business. So I can go out there and promote the sport. I can make sure everybody else feels the love for the game like I do. And then we also have fun doing it. And then they get to check out our products that I hope they're going to see all over the court soon. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So could you tell everybody about the annual tournament that you do? And
So I'm guessing you're talking about the Tommy Wong tournament, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So the Tommy Wong tournament is in my brother's honor, and really all the credit goes to the Surprise Pickleball Association. So we call it SPA for short, but it's Surprise Pickleball Association. The current president is Marlene Burwald. Some of the previous presidents was like Jeff Stone and Dave Hines. I was the person that created the association. As you see, the Surprise Courts has 16 courts there. And we started off with 8 courts. That was just a converted 2 tennis courts. So my brother passed away almost 7 years ago. Well, actually 7 years ago this month. And he was always with me on the courts, and we would laugh and joke around. And, he was just such a lovable guy that everybody really just loved hanging out with him and playing with him. And he would just kind of grab the person off the side on the bench and say, here, let me show you how to hit a better stroke here. And he was a 5-0 player and just a super dude, and he would always crack jokes. He would swear a lot, but he was always having fun with it. And everybody just loved him on the court. So his name was Tommy Wong. And he had a huge impact on my life, obviously. But after he passed away, Marlene and Jeff Stone said, let's memorialize that tournament with his name. And I was deeply touched. My family was deeply touched. People remember him on those courts. And some of the people that we play with daily now, like Chris Watts and all these other players that play, shared those courts with Tommy in the past. So now I hear about it wherever I go. They're like, oh, the Tommy Wong tournament is great. Well, really, I thank this Pickleball Association and Marlene and Jeff Stone for stepping up to make it happen. But it's nice because there's a reason behind, there's a story behind the tournament. So now I think it's growing to have hundreds and hundreds of players. People really, really appreciate the history behind it. And that also has a connection to me as well. You know, I live just a few miles south of the pickleball courts in Surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you'll see me there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You were there. Well, I know when I visited Surprise, I felt that welcomingness. Jeff Doyle kind of took me under his wing, and he was just so lovely. I mean, such a more experienced player than me. But he was just so kind and funny, and maybe you guys have a good spirit there in Surprise.
Yeah, Jeff is I call him a crazy dude, but he has so much fun with it, you know, so that's pretty cool. Glad you connected with him.
Yeah. Let's see, I had another question for you. Oh dear, I just lost it. Okay. Well, I forgot my next question. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So if you could share with us one of the highlights from your teaching, could you share with us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We just did a clinic. So me and my pickleball partner, Sarah Ash, went to Alaska like we just talked about. And we did 4-hour clinics there. And one was a beginner and then some intermediate and advanced clinics. But they had so much fun because we went through some of the foundational things that people like overlook. So we, you know, we talked about obviously like the third shot, and we talked about more strategy and what we could do to, you know, place the ball better, but also think about the game more like a chess game so that you're not just reactive and not just hitting the ball back. So I'm trying to get my players and the people that take my clinics to really think about the game as a chess game and to figure out how they could capitalize on finding their opponent's weaknesses, and then, you know, how they can make better shots. So I always teach that you need to have, you know, technique, but you also need to have strategy. So we kind of marry those two ideas together during the clinic. And then, so we'll do like little drill sessions for the first hour or two. And then after that, we played this game called Speedball. And it was kind of a takeoff on a tennis game called Live Ball that I saw in California. And it's just fast paced. We have 6 people on the court, and it's almost like a king of the court game. So we would say the first shot is a third shot. So everybody has to hit the third shot right away. And then the other side would be the champions, and you're trying to knock the champions off the court. And then once you finish playing out the point, the next 2 challengers come in, and then they play against whoever the champion is. So we did that for an hour. And like the first 15 minutes, we'll say the first shot has to be a third shot. And then the next 15 minutes, we said the next one has to be a deep return. So we'll start off with a deep return, and then we'll play out the point. And then another one is we'll just make it more like a lively game. One time I'll like pitch the ball up high, and every point begins with an overhead slam. And so the champions are on the defense, and they're trying to make their way up to the court, up to the net. So that interactive game really forces people to play the game, but then they'll also have fun doing it while having some strategy to really see what it's like. And they're just like, they're sweating, they're moving. I mean, I had one person that was 70 years old plus, and he was just doing an amazing job. He had a background in badminton, and he was just gung ho, and he came to 2 clinics, and at the end of the clinics, he had a blast. And then we had one more, the hour 3 to 4. This one was a 4-hour clinic. And 3 to 4, we would just play with random people and then critique them and do more games and stuff. So the format of the clinic was just amazing. Everybody just had a blast.
Yeah. I love that when you can be drilling and playing a game and then you're getting everything, the exercise, the skills, the competition. Okay. Oh, I remember my other question, and then I have a comment from somebody. My other question was this. So when we were looking to get a house in Arizona, and then we found Surprise, and we noticed it said USAPA headquarters. The address was there in Surprise, and now I'm just making that connection. Is it in Surprise because that's where you guys were when it was started?
Yeah. So it's funny because I didn't know about Surprise, Arizona until 2005 when my good friends Fran and Barney Myer bought a house here in Traditions. So Traditions is right off Bell Road, and they just got a brand new house. I literally slept in their den on the floor because they had no furniture. And then I witnessed the Arizona Senior Games that was held in Traditions. So that's the time where I met Earl Hill and all these other ambassadors. The Deweys were here, I think, visiting as well. So a lot of the people from Washington State, where I originated from, they also had a house here in Surprise, and that's where the connection was. Even though a lot of us resided up there, like I lived up there full time until 2011. We decided to have Arizona address because a lot of people wintered here. So at first, the USA Pickleball Association, formerly the USAPA, just had a post office box in Surprise, and that was our headquarters.
Okay. See, I knew there was a history there.
Yep. That's it.
Okay. And then, so a friend of mine, Lawrence Wittenberg, has tournaments in North Carolina. And he has just been delighted because Armour donated some paddles to be given away as prizes. And he wanted to tell you guys thank you and to let you know that it's his new favorite paddle. He loves what you guys have. And so.
Well, thank you very much. We hope everybody loves them. Like I said, there's a lot of great companies out there. And really, all of these companies are doing a great job. We're getting out there and promoting. With me, I stand obviously behind my company because I'm a player as well. So I get out there and people kind of know the brand through me, but then they also could share the passion. But our purpose is really to enrich lives through the sport of pickleball. So I'm glad people see that through products and also through some of the training that we do and everything else.
Yeah. So thank you, Steve Wong, enriching people's lives through pickleball. And you're doing it.
Well, we'll have to get one of these in your hands and continue success with everything you're doing with Picklebilly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you for coming.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Mm.